All right, yes, and who better to talk about that than the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, who joins us now. Good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Good to see you.
Really appreciate it. So what's going to happen with these Canada-Mexico tariffs? You indicated to Larry Kudlow yesterday that there may be some modification. We're hearing that there may be some carve-outs before the reciprocal tariffs go into effect on April the 2nd. So what can you tell us?
So both the Canadians and Mexicans used enormous opportunity to just come flying in with anything they could. Mexicans said they would put 1,000 more specialists on to get rid of fentanyl. We have to stop Americans from dying. 75,000 autopsy deaths. But we know, as the president said, it's got to be 3 times more. I mean, imagine if I lost my kid, would I really worry about doing an autopsy of why they died? I'd just be heartbroken and ruined. So we've got to stop it. It's an attack on America, and it's got to end. So the president said, if you do more, I'll listen. He's been listening. He spoke today to Justin Trudeau this morning, and I was on that call. And so I think he's leaning towards coming up with an idea that allows USMCA, the deal he struck with Mexico and Canada, that's about half of Mexico and Canada. It's about half. Maybe those markets for the next month get excluded from the tariff, and the other half. So basically, if you were doing trading with the United States of America and you ignored Donald Trump's agreement that he made years ago, you did it at your own risk. And so the president's thinking, now he hasn't decided this yet, so it's up to him. But he spoke to the big automakers yesterday, so he was leaning towards helping them out for just this month. And then we need to see the Canadians and Mexicans put long-lasting protections in to protect America. Not this, oh, I'm doing a lot of work for the last 3 weeks. Give me a break.
Okay, so Mr. Secretary, and thank you so much for coming on the program. So you're saying this would just be for about a month. The president hasn't said he's on board with it yet. So who is floating this idea? Why is it even out there? Whose idea is it?
Well, look, the automakers, for instance, as an example, they made their pitch. And what they said was, look, we're domestic American automakers, and if you put a 25% tariff on us, and you don't put it on the Germans, and you don't put it on the Koreans, and you don't put it on the Japanese, you're helping everybody but us. So come on, can you help us if we comply with USMCA? Meaning if we've got U.S. parts in our cars, can't you help us and think about it? And you know the president, he's the greatest businessman who's ever sat in that chair, and he understands the keys to business in America, and I think he's going to lean towards helping American business during this interim period of time. If they lived up to his terms, he'll probably allow them to have for this month only, and then, of course, April 2nd, you know, he said last night, it's on April 1st, but April 2nd, he's going to come out with his tariff agenda, and it is going to cause reciprocity in the world. Stop treating us poorly.
So explain to us, if you could, the strategy with Canada and Mexico, because right after the inauguration, the president came out and said there's going to be tariffs on Canada and Mexico. And then he came out and said, oh, no, there's not going to be. We're going to pause that for 30 days. Then he comes out yesterday and says that these tariffs are going into effect. And now today he's saying, well, maybe not on everything. I mean, is this push-pull? Is it taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back? I'm trying to figure out exactly what the strategy is.
So there's been never a step back. There was just a pounding forward move, which said, I need fentanyl and the border closed, right? Remember how we started this. You are our greatest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, right? If we are so important to you, why is the border wide open? Why do we have to build a wall? Why aren't you building a wall? Why aren't you respecting America? Why do you think it's okay to disrespect America? So what they did is they disrespected America. They had caravans coming in from Mexico. They had visas just flying off the shelf from Canada, and every criminal in the world and terrorist coming in through Canada. And the president said, I've had enough. You guys are totally disrespectful, and I'm going to teach you a bit of respect. So he says, tariffs. Then they say, hold on. We'll start to respect you. And they start doing work. Then Mexico calls and says, I'll put 10,000 troops on the border. And the Canadians say, I'll put 10,000 troops on the border. And he said, if you're going to stop it, I'll give you 30 days to stop it. Show me what you can do for 30 days. But does that sound a foot off the gas? That sounds like a foot on the
Gotcha.
chest.
So, Mr. Secretary, the critics of these tariffs say this is a tax on American consumers. And there's a lot of worry that these will ultimately lead to higher prices. You've got the CEO of Target and Best Buy coming out saying that they do believe ultimately they're going to have to pass this along to the consumers. So can you tell us today, will we see higher prices as a result of these tariffs?
Well, as the president said last night, there's going to be a short period of time where there'll be some higher prices on certain products. It's not inflation, that's nonsense. It's certain products for a short period of time. But then what happens is, like I met today with a giant computer maker, and what he said was, I can bring it all in, and I could bring it all in fast, and I'm going to bring that production here. You heard the president say $1.3 trillion coming in. I think you're going to see 2, 3, and ultimately by the end of this year, $4 trillion of committed investment coming into the country, lowering prices, not paying the tariff, hiring Americans for great American jobs. You're going to see the resurgence of America, and it just doesn't make sense. Look, the Canadians build cars. The Mexicans build cars. This is an April 2nd comment. Why are our Michigan jobs in Canada? Why are our Michigan jobs in Canada? And that's what the president's going to address. He's going to say, come on back, come on back. We're going to build Michigan. We're going to build Ohio. Here we come. Here comes America under Donald Trump.
All right, so that's Canada and Mexico. Now, China's another deal. And the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. posted on X after the president's speech last night the following. If war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we are ready to fight until the end. Now, China's obviously famous for complaining about everything under the sun, but it's also increasing its defense spending by 7.2% this year, saying changes unseen in a century are unfolding across the world at a faster pace. That could be complaining. It could also be taken as a less than veiled threat.
Well, in 2019, President Xi sat across from President Trump and said he would put the death penalty on anybody who made ingredients for fentanyl. Okay? He said, I'll put the death penalty on. And you know where they are now? They have the highest subsidies. They subsidize the production of fentanyl to try to kill our workers. They're trying to kill our workers. So the president knows that President Xi can end it now. In one sentence, he could say, death penalty if you make precursor ingredients, and bang, you know how China works, it's over. Instead, he's doing the opposite. So the president sat across the table. He knows this is a game of he's got to get President Xi to end it. He's sick of Americans being killed, and he is going to play hardball with the Chinese on this topic. And this is just a drug war. This is not a trade war. This is a drug war, and they are not living up to what they can. And Donald Trump is going to stand up for American families, and he's going to do it hard, and he's going to do it strong, and that's why we love him as our president.
Well, and Mr. Secretary, we know you as a markets guy, of course, a Wall Street guy, and we've been watching the markets react to this. As you well know, investors don't like uncertainty, and, whether this works or not, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. And we've seen, not a huge hit to the U.S. stock market, but it's down about 5 or 6% since the highs in February as we await the outcome of this trade war. What do you say to market watchers out there, investors who are uncertain about the future of their investments?
I would say the American economy, bonds, right? Interest rates are going to come smashing down because the president said he's going to balance the budget. Anybody bets against Donald Trump is a silly person, okay? He is the best person to bet on I've ever seen. So interest rates going to come smashing down. Energy costs coming smashing down. These tariffs are going to create amazing production in America, and you're going to see the American stock market explode. I think if you look from the day before the election to today, you're going to see that the markets are up. The market's what, 0.25% you're worried about now? I'm actually on TV talking about 0.25%. You got to stop it. You got to stop it. Tariffs are going to drive America better. Remember, we pay taxes into the Internal Revenue Service. Wouldn't it be amazing to stop paying taxes to the Internal Revenue Service and have the External Revenue Service? of Make America Great Again, replace our taxes. That's the goal of Donald Trump, and I think he's going to hit there. He's going to do everything he can to make that happen. Lower our taxes. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on seniors. Come on. This is an amazing country, and we are winning.
Now, off the back of what you said about the president's call with Justin Trudeau, he just put this out on Truth Social. He said, Justin Trudeau of Canada called me to ask what could be done about tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it's stopped. He said that it's gotten better, but I said that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner, the president says. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like what's going on here. I then realized that he's trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin, the president said. So we'll see where this goes. Mr. Secretary, thank you for coming in today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. You should have heard him
the
on
weather
that
in
call.
D.C. traffic.
This president is so good. He is just amazing.
Mr. Secretary, thank you very much for coming on. Come back when you have another update.